Good morning, this is Stuart Davidson, your friendly QS, and it's a very happy sunny Easter bank holiday Sunday, and I thought I'd just do this live because I did mean to do it yesterday. Now, as you know, or for those that have been watching, I've been doing a S.T.A.R.T.E.R system, which is a acrostic for a starter for getting up and running again after the lockdown, but something that you can use after it anyway. Now, I haven't done an online course before, so for me this is a little bit of an experiment, but what I'm hoping to do is to summarise the various sections of what a business, construction business, property developer, contractor or subcontractor might want to think about coming out of this situation, or also within this situation. So it's kind of a revision one for me, so I'm running through it, and if you've got any comments, please let me know. Any other things you want me to cover, or any points that I've covered that weren't clear, or things that you think I could go deeper dive on or explain. Because what I'd like to do with the S.T.A.R.T.E.R system, having gone through it over the past week and the next few days, is to really get some feedback around what people are concerned about, what people are worried about, what companies are worried about, what problems and challenges that you have in terms of maybe your marketing, your training, your contracts, agreements, and your payments. And today I want to talk about remuneration, which is the payments part of it. So I spoke about the first S of S.T.A.R.T.E.R being around your marketing and sales, because it's sometimes something that we don't really have systems for as business owners, and I kind of found that out the hard way. So we don't really do that. So it's something in this downtime, this quiet period, that you can start to think about. It's something you could step up your marketing and sales, and how you can start to identify your ideal client, your niche market, and how you can start to build relationships and start to qualify your clients and start to pre-qualify yourself as a business to your clients. So it's something that you can start in this period. Then I talked about training and how you can use online training to promote your business, to inform clients how best to appoint you, and how you could structure your internal training and programs to align with your marketing. So everything in your business is structured, so you've got a system, not only internal systems for delivering your product or service, but you've got a system, a whole business system, which is around continuous marketing and sales. And then I talked about agreements, contracts that you might be involved in at the moment. And a lot of contracts are on standstill. There's a lot of legal debate going on at the moment around, what various clauses mean in this particular pandemic, particularly around force majeure, about determining contracts and payments and responsibilities for different things. What the remedies might be, and I talked about standstill agreements and heads of terms and how that can work. And today I want to talk generally about payments in construction. And as those of you who might know me, you know this is a bit of a hobby horse of mine. I do believe that payments in construction is very, very antiquated. The system is antiquated. I believe that the procurement systems are antiquated in terms of payment. So if you're a developer or client, and I tend to work quite often on client side and procuring contractors and procuring works, procuring supply chains as a PQS. And one of the things a lot of clients do, they entrust the cash flow management to a main contractor. Now, many main contractors manage cash okay, but they are fundamentally, their expertise is about building projects, building buildings. They're not accountants, they're not cash flow accountants, yet we tend to put a lot of pressure on them to manage accounts, manage cash flow, when at the same time we're driving costs down, we're driving margins down. So there's low margins and low working capital in construction. Pretty much as employers, we're driving that through competitive tendering. So quite often when, I've seen it hundreds and hundreds of times, when we get tenders back, the clients in their documents are asking the main contractor to identify their overheads and profit. And of course, there's the declared overheads and profit, and then there's the real overheads and profit. Now, declared overheads and profit is something that, the builders know that they're going to be scored on. So on a large project, they might declare 5%, ridiculous amount, 5%. With the amount of risk that they carry out, that's not the profit they make, but that's what they declare. Where they're driven to make their money is through their suppliers, their supply chain, and through, sometimes it might be cash farming. Now, not many people realise that practice goes on, but it does go on. The cash farming, by the way, is where a contractor may have several projects on the go. He'll get paid cash, and then he'll look for cash leads, in property cash leads that he can purchase and get the cash discounts, then quickly refinance and quickly get the money back out, bring it back into the project. And that's one of the reasons why that sometimes projects are frustrated in terms of time, delay and disruption, because it's about the cash flow coming back into the project. Now, it's a practice that has been going on for years and years and years. And when I talk to our clients about that, they're flabbergasted. They think, really? My money goes out of my project? Yeah, it does go out of your project. That's intentional. And I'm not saying all contractors do that, but I can tell you that it is going on. It does go on. And one of the reasons it has to go on, because a contractor is running a business, he needs to make a profit. And cash farming can make up to 20% of his turnover in a year. So the practice of driving costs down isn't necessarily to the benefit of the client. And what a client really needs to do is to keep the money in his project. One of the other reasons money goes out of the project is due to other demands on operational costs of the contractor and the supply chain businesses. Now, the money generally if you're not using a project bank account, the money will go into the main contractor's main bank account, where everything else goes out of as well. So there's going to be other demands on your cash if you're an employer that cash goes out of the project. And also, how many times has employers and developers lost money where they paid the contractor's gone bust before he's paid the supply chain? That means that the developer is left with a debt. So there's big issues around the way we manage cash. So we pass cash from the employer, from the lender to the developer, the employer, down to the contractor. That cash gets passed to a subcontractor. That subcontractor then passes it down to a subcontractor. Then that subcontractor passes it down to suppliers. And money passes through so many different hands. And that's a risk. That's a high risk. And I think this shutdown, the lockdown period, will be a catalyst for change. And I think that construction punches way below its weight in wealth creation purely because of slow cash flow. So you can imagine this is what happens traditionally, is that the money passes hands. So each payment period gets longer and longer and longer. So those at the bottom of the food chain have a longer payment period than those at the top, because they're trying to manage, there's no working capital, so everyone's trying to juggle the timing of the payments. That makes the exchange of money much slower. It makes the generation of wealth much lower, because the faster cash flows, the faster wealth grows. And it's, that's got to be a good thing for speeding up the cash flow in construction in order to create wealth in the economy. Now, what's going to happen when everyone comes back to work is there's going to be high cash flow pressures on contractors, subcontractors, developers, etc., etc., etc. And some of them may not be as solvent as they were before. So there's pre-qualification that might need to take place. Are you still in a condition that you can carry on with the work? And I think that a lot of contractors and a lot of subcontractors are going to be struggling, to be honest. And this is where I think a client could come in. This has got to be led at the client level. And one of the things I'm talking to our clients about is speak to your lender, your development financier, where the funds are coming from for the project. Can you negotiate different terms and revised or refinance the terms upon which your your project is based, but also can you link up direct investor to supply chain payments. Now this is a very interesting concept whereby the contractor and the subcontractors carry on and do the work in accordance with the original contract and do their certification, evaluations, and get to the point where the payment is certified, so the work's been done and the quality is up to the right standard. But instead of the contractor passing money down the line, the money, once that certificate is received by the recipient, or the promise to pay or digital payment obligation, whatever you want to call it, once that certificate is received, the invoice is received up the line from subcontractor, subcontractor to subcontractor to contractor, and the certificate is passed down the line. Once that certificate is received, the investor, the financier, is releases the payment direct to the supplier or the contractor or the subcontractor. So payments get paid from the bottom up when the work gets done directly, rather than having to pass through hands. And it also means you can bring your supply chain. Now, this is the key thing. You can bring your contractor back. You can bring your supply chain back. You can bring the guys with the expertise who know the project back, even if they haven't got any money. So it's an because the people will be there, the skills will be there, but the cash flow might not be there. So what are you going to do? How can you deal with that situation? So one way of doing it is to direct to supply chain payments. That way they come with their expertise, you make the payments on the basis of the work done. So it's just one little thought, one little way in which you might be able to keep your team if there's pressure on cash flow, and to build that team up. Now going forward, I think payments, and there's a big lesson here, payments, cash flow payments are, cash flow, when you look at cash flow in a business, it's not, it can become a complex matter, particularly in construction where payments are going outside from side to side. So they may leave and come back into a project, which we want to avoid, by the way. So a direct financier to supply chain payments keeps the money in the project, stops it leaking out. But then there's the complexity of the operational costs of each player within the project, and also how you measure cash flow status. It's a complex matter, and I think it's something that we can look at in more detail on future contracts and make it easier for all the parties to win in a project without putting pressure on them, without having to drive overheads and profit margins down. Because if you drive the project margin down for a main contractor, believe me, you're driving them down even further for a subcontractor. So we want to get away from this race to the bottom. I think we can do it and still make 30% saving on projects and secure the profit margins of each of the players in the game. But it needs an expertise, an overseeing expert on managing the cash flow for the project, rather than leaving it up to the ability and the individual expertise of the individual number of companies that are involved in the project to organise their own cash flow and link that into the project cash flow. So there's a lot said. I could talk about this for hours, but hopefully I could, when I develop this program and training out in a deeper format, in more detail, maybe it's something I can touch on a few things. There's things about step-in rights, warranties, and how the warranty can link a supplier up to the investor or the developer to stop. To reduce risk of one of the parties go up the chain becoming insolvent. You have a step-in right for a warranty, so that's one way of doing it. So there's lots of different ways that we could look at going forward, but I think at the moment it's going to be around negotiation, maybe setting up a standstill agreement, maybe looking at revising how we cash flow the project. So that's remuneration. Let me know if there's anything else that you want me to develop within this starter course. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you, once it's developed, and I'm going to try and develop it so it's kind of like an online course. So I'm gonna initially give it away for free, for feedback, and develop it. But what I kind of need really is people to feedback to me what problems you're facing. If you're a subcontractor or a contract, or even a developer, what problems are you beginning to face now that I might be able to help with? Please give me feedback in the comments below, and then I'll develop it further. So in the next video, so we've talked about S.T.A.R.T.E.R, which is the sales, the agreement, the sales, training, agreement, remuneration, and I'm going to look at transformation under the next video, which looks at how you can transform your business to align it to scale and to grow, how you can transform yourself as a director to grow and scale your business, and what you need to look at as a director. I know that I found the benefit of systems, so putting systems in place so that I didn't have to do everything in my business, so that I allowed other people to grow and to be involved in the business, and how I transform myself and the way I worked and what I could work on, and also transforming the business as well. So in tomorrow's video, I'm going to be looking at transformation. So hope that was helpful, and I hope you have a great day. Have a nice relax, try and stay calm. Contact those people that you should have contacted ages ago and you've never done, so you've got time to do it now. And keep safe. Have a great day. This is Stuart Davidson, your friendly QS, signing off, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.